This episode of The Managers is sponsored by AO.com. Now, if you're anything like me, when a big match kicks off, you want the full experience. Not squinting at a tiny screen, not flat sound that makes a cup final feel like a pre-season friendly. And that's where AO comes in. If you're planning to spend a lot of time watching football this summer, AO members never pay full price on TVs. Which is ideal, whether you're upgrading to a massive screen, adding a sound bar, or even going all out with the projector to make your living room feel like a stadium. They've got you covered. And when you're an AO member, you'll also keep on saving with free and unlimited delivery across all electricals. So if you're thinking about upgrading your football setup, join now and start saving. Shop TVs at AO.com. That's AO.com. I'm Mick McCarthy.
And I'm Tony Pulis.
And welcome to The Managers. West Brom fourth in the Championship, still with a great chance of getting promoted. You're sacked. How the heck does that happen?
I'm perplexed too.
I'm shaking my head.
Hold on, we'll all scratch our heads together.
I'm perplexed too.
We need to speak about one game from your playing career. It remains the only match in English professional football history to have been abandoned due to a shortage of players. Is that the craziest match you've ever been involved in?
Be honest with it.
Do I remember it? Absolutely. Will I ever forget it? No.
Our guest this week made his name as an uncompromising centre-back during his playing days. He made nearly 700 matches and won 4 promotions, featuring for clubs such as Bradford City, Portsmouth, West Brom and Derby County. After hanging up his boots in 2012, he eventually moved into coaching and has since overseen close to 400 games from the dugout. Winning 2 promotions, it's our huge pleasure to welcome to The Managers Darren Moore. Darren, welcome, mate. It's great to see you.
No, good to see you, Mick. Good to see you, Tone.
Pleased to see you, Del.
Of course, you know Tone well. We could get some dirt on him as well, mate, while we're at it. So.
Oh, he's got loads.
But he usually starts. He usually gets the game going. So come on, ask his question.
Mauro, before we go in depth into your career and everything, your background, family, born where, how many was in the family, and football-wise, how did you progress?
Obviously, mum and dad over from Jamaica, and just 4 boys, including 2 girls. I'm just right in the middle. Older brother, older sister, younger brother, younger sister. 2 older brothers and an older sister. So grew up in Handsworth in Birmingham and just started sort of in a big family, but just started getting into sports at school. Went to James Watt Junior, went to Holyhead as a senior school. And then my love for football sort of picked up round about the age of about 9 or 10 was the time when I picked up with football. Up until then, cricket was my first love. And
what about your dad? Was he a cricketer or a footballer?
Yeah, my dad was a cricketer. It was my dad what actually called me in. I'll never forget it. Just playing out with my friends. He just called me in. He said, I want you to have a look at this. And I said, what is it, Dad? It's a football match. I said, okay. At the time, West Brom, Birmingham, with Cyril Laurie and Brendan playing. As you can imagine, for a Jamaican West Indian community, it's strong. It was a proud moment. And he was showing me the game. And I just remember watching the game, and I just remember thinking, seeing the football pitch, and it was almost like a stage. The pitch was a stage. And of course, all these players are getting sort of worship for their talent and their ability. And I just remember me finishing the game and me saying, oh, Dad, I want to go and do that. And he said, dear son, I said, yeah. So honestly, it was literally down with the cricket bat and playing football. And I remember me just playing football at school and just charging around. And then that's when it kind of took off for me, because the caretaker lady at the time was Jean Bell at James Watt Junior. And she said, Darren, you're good enough to play football Sunday league. And then that's where it sort of took off. And I got into a football team.
What was you like confidence-wise, Dal, with such a big family? And
yeah, it was good, Tone, because the way my mum and dad brought us up was we was a big family, but a real close unit.
Yeah,
a real close unit. Even to this day now, we're really, really close as a family. Always had Sunday dinner together.
Yeah,
mum and dad always promoted that. Really, they used to even said, even if you come down the house and as long as you're all together, that's a special. So even now. It's
a lovely environment to grow up in.
Oh, it was fantastic, really, and that was implemented by my mum and dad.
And it doesn't matter how much you've got or what you're doing or where you're living, if you've got that security with your family, which thankfully I
Who was the boss,
well,
mum or dad?
Oh, it's got me my mum in it.
Of course it is. Who's the boss in your house? Not you.
It's not me.
We've all put our hands up there, Del.
So that's how you started. But, you start at the beginning of your now playing career, I guess your professional career. During your playing days, you worked under some big names: Neil Warnock, Kerry Dixon, Chris Kamara, Paul Jewell, Alan Ball, the one and only Tony Pulis. He's worked with everybody we've been in here, so it's nothing unusual. You can talk about him. Gary Megson, Brian Robson, Billy Davis, just to name a few. And you don't have to say it's him, but who had the biggest influence on you?
I always say, first and foremost, is a lot of the managers I worked under, I took something from them because they all did it differently, but they all did it in their own effective way. And obviously, I'll swing it round to then working alongside Tony McGaffer, and just under a player and as a coach, because obviously as a player, I was captain for him at Portsmouth, and then at West Brom, I was a coach when he arrived, and when he arrived and that, he promoted me up to work really closely alongside him. I remember as a player, because I was captain at Portsmouth, he gave me the responsibility to make sure that I was carrying out the instructions within the group. So behind it in the dressing room, I knew what he wanted on the pitch. So I only knew what he wanted on the pitch, but I was able to communicate that to my teammates. Yeah. Little did I know that would have a greater impact in my coaching, because you're doing it as a captain on the pitch. So I'm carrying out what he wants on the pitch. And our method at the time when he arrived was to keep Portsmouth in the Championship, which we did. Yeah. But it was the intensity, the detail in terms of how we trained and how we went about our business, and the game plan was second to none. Really clear, with clarity, really.
So it was a really good decision making you captain, by the way, because if you'd have said to me on the pitch, Mick, do this, I was going to do it. Let me just tell you. Right?
Just quickly, when you're talking about that's as a player. Yeah. When you were a player, did you think then you wanted to go into coaching, or was you just concentrating on being a player?
At the time, it was just concentrating on being a player. Yeah. I just remember me just thinking, I'm going to concentrate on being a player. But
for as long as you can.
For as long as I can just keep playing. Even when I was still playing and kept on playing, there was opportunities for me to go in and coach. And I remember at the time when Tony took over at Stoke, I was thinking to myself, it's only then when I started thinking I might be looking to go into coaching, and the gaffer was good. Remember, Tony brought me to Stoke. I watched a lot of his training and just sat up there and just watched how he was managing players and managing the game and going into team tactics and seeing games in training sessions and watching games on a Saturday. So then I started going into it. But then even then the advice was, still do what you're doing, Darren, but if you can play as long as you can,
play as long as you can.
Well, it was very complimentary of you, because Darren was a captain, absolutely fantastic for me. Took an instant liking to him. He also said, more compliments, you were a massive reason why Pompey stayed up that year. I'm sure it was, because you've got to be a solid back four to make sure.
The personality, not just, we had to knock the door, for the viewers, we had to knock the door out about 10 yards wider to get him through, but not because of his size or anything like that, but his personality and his honesty in respect of what he did. And he always led from the front. He'd always take responsibility. Win, lose or draw, you'd never find him hiding in the corner. He'd always be up there, taking it, or taking the credit, or taking the
personality.
Stick.
You need it, don't you? When you're captain, you want a personality to get to lead on the pitch. Yeah. So we need to speak about one game from your playing career, about the Battle of Bramall Lane between Sheffield United and West Brom in 2002. It remains the only match in English professional football history to have been abandoned due to a shortage of players. Is that the craziest match you've ever been involved in?
Don't worry about anything else. Be honest.
I think for me, do I remember it? Absolutely. Will I ever forget it? No. Because unique game for many different reasons. Obviously, we're going for promotion. We got to Sheffield United, and we are 3 goals to the good. And then all of a sudden, I think at that time, with 3 goals to the good, I just remember us, they're down to 9 men at the time. And I just remembered there was one incident in the game where there's different, where I put my foot on the ball because literally they had no strikers. So I'm thinking we won the game at 3-0. So we was trying to like sort of press on and get more goals to the good because it was a chance to boost our goal difference. And then it went down to 9. It went down to 8 men. And I just remember the incident was, and what happened with the incident, what led to it was previously Andy Johnson and George Santos, when John was playing at Nottingham Forest and George was playing at Sheffield United, there was an incident. And I remember at the time, I was playing for Sheffield Wednesday. I'd done my ankle ligaments and was in the hospital. And I remember the nurse saying to me, Darren, there's one of your lads in next door. And I said, one of my lads? Anyway, I just had my operation. 2 days later, I hobble next door. It's George in the bed. And then George explains to me what happened, fractured cheekbone, an incident with him and Andy Johnson. Fast forward a year on, we're at West Brom, them two are on the pitch. Andy Johnson says, I got some afters with him, we've got to be careful. So the referee knew. Honestly, I've never seen a sliding tackle or lunge. It must have been about a 12-foot lunge. And I just said, if Andy Johnson hadn't elevated himself, Mick Tone, he would have cut him in half. He was literally that. So anyway, because he jumped the tackle, he spun over. So it looked worse than what it was. But it's only because of Andy Johnson's intervention of jumping why it didn't catch him. Of course, that led to the melee. And of course, that's when then the game just spiraled out, really. And in the end, it got abandoned for lack of players. I just remember seeing Sheffield United players walk down the tunnel. The referee just blew the whistle and just said, I've got to abandon the game for a lack of players. And we was absolutely gutted because obviously we're thinking we're looking to go 4 and 5 and the game just gets abandoned. So quite a unique position to be in. I just remember the manager at the time, Gary Megson, just saying to us in the dressing room, there is no way am I bringing another first team squad up here. I don't care what the league says, but the game, as far as I'm concerned, we've won the match. And I'm grateful in the end that they did award us the game.
So they did award you the game?
The points anyway for the game.
You got the points.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that. That might have caused a bit of trouble. You reckon?
Oh, just a bit.
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, had they not awarded us it, because we won the game hands down. I mean, I remember on the day, we were just too strong for them on the day, and really in their own backyard. And I just remember us just being so dominant and just really focused on winning. I think we were second at the time. We were trying to go for the championship, so we had a real strong team, and we was really on course for doing it. Really, so
when it came back, you actually got the result, didn't you? So
yeah,
you played one game and got 6 points. Is that correct?
Yeah, we played at Nottingham Forest on the night. I remember Neil Clements scoring. Well, Bob Taylor hits a crossbar, comes back, Bob sticks it in, and we win the game 1-0. And on that day, the league awarded us those points from Sheffield. Yeah. So actually on the day, we got actually awarded 6 points. And it was a tremendous feeling. And of course, in that title race then, it made the gap between us and Wolverhampton Wanderers reduced, and it really then started to they were then looking over their shoulders because they knew we were coming. So in the end, what turned into a disappointing day, the Battle of Bramall Lane, turned into a great day.
It was relief all round, though. Relief for you, relief for the teams, relief for the league. Because I mean, they had to make a decision, but it was quite rightly the right decision.
Yeah.
You retired from playing in 2012. Did you always want to be a manager, coach, manager?
Coach.
I wondered about that because there is a difference.
Coach, yeah. I always thought to myself at the time when we went to West Brom, we was in the Premier League, and I always thought I want to be a real good coach at Premier League level. I just want to really work alongside the players, be a real. I can connect with them, learning, developing, what level to play. So it was always a coach. Never thinking about management at all. I was always brought up where you're managers and what you two say, it goes throughout the football club. But now there's different strands to it now in terms of the roles and responsibilities you can get given. So at the time at West Brom, I was thinking I want to be a good coach. So working on yourself, or Tony, I'd be like a real good coach. Like, Gaffer, you want it doing this way, okay, you want the sessions doing this way. It was great, really. And that's where I really started to learn and develop, because as you remember, Tony, we went away to Austria, and I'd be helping up the sessions and coaching and just getting amongst the group, really. And there were some wonderful challenges set. Tony would set with myself in terms of working alongside the group, really. and just really making sure that the group was applying itself really in that manner. So I had a real good upbringing really, and then not only that, but just to see the gaffer interact with the players. I mean, the biggest thing for me, and I'll say this to you now, Tony, was the biggest thing for me was he said to me after the game, we'd won the game, and he said, I want you to come in the manager's room afterwards. And I said, gaffer, I said, I'll just get home. I said, it's all right. So anyway, I went home, and then Monday morning, thinking nothing of it, the gaffer goes to me, he says, where was you on Saturday? And I said, I just went home, I just left you to it, you know. And then he says to Kempy, make sure he's in the room afterwards the next home game. So the next home game came, I was in the room and I sat down and Jill was in there, sat with Jill. So the gaffer's told me to come in. But the biggest thing for me, my coaching, not still realising I wanted to be a manager, because when I did get thrusted into the management, I remembered things that he did. So what happened was...
You remember things he went through?
Went through, yeah. One thing that I got from the gaffer was, win, lose or draw, once that game's finished, his consistency, whether he's won, whether he's lost the game or drawn, is still at the same level. And always...
visibly,
yes,
at least, anyway,
after
which is
the game,
important. Yeah.
Done the media, came in, saw the manager and his staff, and then afterwards would then just summarise the game with his staff afterwards, and then we all went off.
Well,
home.
I'll be honest with you, that's one of the reasons. So we're doing the podcast. Whenever we played each other, we could be screaming and shouting and tantrums on the bench and punching and kicking, not each other, but we just in the teams, and I get the result you want. Always amiable chat.
Honestly,
it was never about somebody coming and going, "Oh, you lucky sod today," or "We were unlucky." Or it was and I agree with you, of a level not
Mourinho,
bitter and twisted. Yeah,
Allardyce, Pellegrini, Sir Alex.
Yeah,
I see them all in the room. So all, I'm
a bit disappointed not to throw my name.
I just sat in the corner and it's just the way to get. And don't forget, I mean, I'm looking at the intensity building up the week. I mean, you got to remember the intensity we're working on there to go and get a result. Yeah. And I'm sat in there, and I'm just unbeknown to me that I'm never thinking I'm manager. I'm just thinking I'm on the coach.
I think it's drifted out of the game, Mick.
I was just going to ask, does it still go on?
I would invite, whether we were in the 4th division at Gillingham or whether we were in the Premier League, and like you say, we were playing against one of the bigger teams, I would always invite the manager in after for a drink. If we'd won and we'd won comfortable, I would be really, really, really careful of what I said, the way I acted, made sure that he didn't feel there was any joy or whatever.
You were loading it.
And if we lost, it was exactly the same. You bring them in, you know they're going to be happy, you know they're going to be flying. But again, just very, very level-headed. Have a drink. Hope to God you leave a little bit earlier so I can then cry in my soup. Well, but Mick, we all did it.
I told you, Taft, Ian Evans was with me. So used to, we'd go in and have a drink at anywhere. And if we'd lost, the opposition had won really well, you're being very kind and level-headed. You're not making... Taff would say, as we're leaving, right, lads, we're off. You can get the champagne out now and you can start loading it up because we are going.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. I learned that off him very early on. You've got to behave respectfully when you're going.
So respectful.
Yeah. Does it happen now, Dal?
It's going out the game. Yeah. It is going. It's a shame, but it is going because some will say they're going to pop in but don't pop in. Yeah. Some won't say anything and just get off.
See what I did, Mick, and I'm sure you were the same. When we got promoted to the Premier League, my first season in the Premier League, I went and seen Peter, and I said, Peter, we're going to be having some big managers in here now. We're going to have big clubs coming to the club. We want to make a good impression. So if we want to loan players, sign players, but let's be clever. Whatever you're having in the boardroom, ask them to make the same for 8 to 10 people downstairs in my room. And the food, even at West Brom.
Beautiful.
You're sitting down, you're having the 3-course meal, the best red wine that we've had at the club. And then hopefully, Mick, they go away with a good impression of yourself and the football club.
Correct.
So when you ring them up and you go, is there any chance that, you could do this or you could do that? Of course we can.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was it. That was it really. So I learned unbeknown to me, Mick, I was learning a lot from then, really, as a coach.
The Managers with Mick and Tony is powered by BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. And why is BOYLE Sports the home of the early payout? I hear you ask. Well, with BOYLE Sports, if your team goes 2 goals up, you win. Job done. You're getting paid out. Singles, ACCAs, bet builders, it's all covered. And this also means that we need to reconsider some crucial games across your careers, Mick and Tony. In fact, I'm going to take you back to the Britannia Stadium, Halloween 2009, the first time Mick McCarthy meets Tony Pulis in the Premier League. Stoke go 2-0 up. But Mick, your Wolves team come back, draw 2-2. And I'm sorry, Mick, I'm taking the point off you. Because of BOYLE Sports' new laws, I'm afraid Stoke won that game. Congratulations, Tony.
Thank you.
There you go. So get paid out as a winner if your team goes 2 goals ahead, even if they go on to win, lose or draw. 90 minutes only, applies to singles and multiples. 18 plus, T's and C's apply. Back yourself with BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. Head to boylesports.com or download the app to find out more.
2018, Alan Pardew was sacked as West Brom boss. With a club facing relegation, you're thrusted into the hot seat. So, like you're saying, so with 6 games left, how ready did you feel?
Yeah, and Pards was really, really unfortunate, really, at the club because when he joined at the time, I remember Pards just wanted to open up the game a little bit more and get West Brom on the front foot and just playing. And of course, in the Premier League, you know, the level of players really is a top. And we were just getting caught out or silly elementary mistakes, you know what it's like, and just getting caught out. So Pards was really, really unfortunate. And then obviously an incident that happened at the football club that through it's no fault of his own. It's probably just players just being a little bit ill-disciplined at the time. Just at the Premier League, at that level, everything's scrutinised to the highest level.
Absolutely.
And in the end, unfortunately, really unfortunately, and I still speak to him today, and I'm grateful for our time working at West Brom, I got thrusted into the hot seat with 6 games to go. And it was almost like a lamb to a slaughter, really, in terms of who we had to play.
Well, you didn't get slaughtered too much, did you?
No.
You made a good fist of it, beating Man United, Tottenham and Newcastle, as well as drawing with Liverpool. Winning Premier League Manager of the Month for April. The club must have been begging you to stay, surely. I mean,
it was, and we drew against Swansea. So we drew against Liverpool, Swansea, beat Spurs, beat Man United, and beat Newcastle. And you know, you're talking.
You must have been way adrift if you had those results then.
Mourinho, Benitez, Pochettino,
you lads dropping these names in again.
And that, you know, so and then of course we went to Crystal Palace against Roy at the time, Roy Hodgson, which I knew really well at the time. And unfortunately, the game against Swansea and Southampton in the week, Southampton beat Swansea 1-0, but we needed that to be a draw to go to Palace for potentially a great escape. But credit to the boys. We lost the last game at Palace 2-0 against Roy. But then, I got the Manager of the Month award really after that. And
well, the lads must have took to you and whatever you were doing.
But Mick, what I did was I went back to my job, which is first team coach.
Yeah.
And I believe at the time, the club was interviewing 2 managers for the role, but such was the peer pressure from the general public and the West Bromwich Albion fans. I got given the role into the Championship to get them back up to the Premier League, and that was almost sort of my introduction into management, really. So, I'm grateful for the time, and had a real good go at it, really.
Well, you're saying it, mate. You made a great start back in the Championship. Your team is full of goals. Yeah. Dwight Gale, Harvey Barnes, Jay Rodriguez.
Yeah, really, really, really. At the time, I remember like sort of being out, and part of the role as first team coach, I used to go and watch players as well. So, Tony, you'd always send us to go and watch games. Any little international breaks,
all the time,
we'd go and watch games. So in the end, I went Barnes against Bradford, see Harvey Barnes play, and I thought, good player. I thought but at the time he was just a little bit lightweight at the time. But I said he's got 2 great feet, real good feet. So I thought to myself, okay. So anyway, again, not thinking I'm going to ever get into management. I'm just thinking it's good for the recruitment department. I've seen another player. You know, I remember at the time going to watch Dele Alli. At the time, going up to Scotland, watching Van Dijk when he was at Celtic. And I always remember Tony come back and saying, "What do you think, Daz?" I said, he ain't done nothing because he was such a good player. He just looked like he was in second gear.
Rolls-Royce one.
Honestly, so I said, Gaffer, I feel like there's not much to say, but they didn't run him. He won every header. He's so calm on the ball. And I remember him saying, and you know, reports like that coming back. So you'd always watch players. So of course, when you go into management, you remember these, and that's where I managed to get Harvey at the time.
What was the toughest part of it? What was the hardest part when you took the management job?
The bit what got me the most was, I remember me taking the first game against Swansea and we drawing 1-1. And I remember on the Sunday, me putting the phone down on the Sunday, because usually after the Saturday, we put the phone down. I remember me coming back to the phone at the end of the day and there was 15 missed calls on it. And I thought, why? So anyway, I picked up the phone, I rang, it was the doc. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, well, what are we doing tomorrow? Got Monday, everybody's coming back in. And because I got taken from a coach into management, you just think, the job's done, because usually Sunday was like a relaxing and we pick it back up Monday. But of course, the gaffer's already done the pre-planning. So of course, you're the manager now. So, and that was the biggest eye-opener for me, that I thought to myself, goodness me, of course, then once you get into it, you get a month in advance and you start planning it and then going on from there. But that was the biggest, and then of course in the Premier League, you know, the media, I mean, it's incredible, the media. And then afterwards, I was talking to the boys and I get the media guy burst in, Martin, and says, you've got 2 minutes to get in front of the cameras because there's a fine.
Oh, wow.
You know, Premier League, you had to get in with 20 minutes before.
Can I suggest to you, as a coach, you had no idea what Tony Pulis, as a manager, or any other manager that you were working with, was doing.
Mate,
you're just supporting him, but you weren't aware of all the other...
None of that.
You know, other things that
because of what managers, how they protect, because obviously what we want to do is we want our coaches to work freely.
Yeah, of course.
We want them to score and get engaged with the boys. So we'll take all the shots, we'll take all the bullies, we'll take all the heavy loading, because you want your coaches and everybody. I'm managing today, and there's things that I will accept and absorb and not let my staff know, because that's just what we do.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing for me, that it was a real eye-opener really to it.
So in March, with West Brom 4th in the Championship, still with a great chance of getting promoted, either automatically or via the playoffs, you're sacked. Now, I'm going to ask, how the heck does that happen? And how hard was that to take?
Well, I'm perplexed too.
I'm shaking my head.
Hold on, we'll all scratch our heads together, shall we?
I'm perplexed too. I just remember us. I remember that season. I said, we're going to really go for it. So in my eyes, I said, we're going to go and try and score 100 goals. Let's just go for it. And I think at the time, I'm not saying we'd have scored 100 goals, but we'd gone 70-odd goals. Yeah. When you got Dwight Gale, Jay Rodriguez, Barnes, Hal Robson, Carnu, you got that calibre of players, you got to go for it. And then not only that, we've come down from the Premier League, so we got to attack the Championship. And that's what my thinking was. And I remember me getting to 10 games from the end. I remember us drawing against Ipswich at home, Paul Lambert. We absolutely annihilated him. Anyway, it was a 1-1 in one of them. I go upstairs, I do the media, normal. You usually, when you're if you're on the verge of it, you know, the questions you get from the media.
You got a feeling.
Got a feeling. Never had anything. Done it all. Went downstairs. Just before I was going downstairs, I said, Darren, they just want to see you in the office. So I said, yeah, no problem. Anyway, I go into the office, and then within me arriving in the office and going out, they said, Darren, you've been relieved of your duties. And I said, oh, right, okay. And I said, can I ask what for? And they said, yeah, lack of performances. And I thought, we were 5-6 points away from the top. We still got 10 games to go. And I just thought we're in a great position to really go and kick on and get it done. So in the end, I had to go downstairs and I was shocked.
I bet you were.
Me and Paul still, like Tony who teaches, still had a manager. He never knew anything, none the wiser. So I learned just still stay the same, still stay consistent.
Who followed you in when you got the sack, when you were going for promotion? Who followed you in?
That's where the club unfortunately messed up, really, because...
well, what?
Don't name the manager.
In what way? Sacking you or employing the next guy?
No. What it was at the time was... and it's the only regret I've got at the time for them, because I just wanted them 10 games, because I really felt what happened to Aston Villa that year, because Dean Smith got it done, got promotion.
Okay.
I think it would have happened at West Brom.
Yeah.
But what happened at the time was when they made the sacking, it was under the basis of they were going to bring somebody in more experienced to get it over the line. Yeah. But in the end, the two managers...
That went well, did it?
Yeah, the two managers they were interviewing at the time was declined. So it wasn't done. And then they ended up giving it to the under-21s and the under-18s.
Oh, it's somebody who got more experience.
No, that was
wrong.
it. It
I
was
know.
crazy.
Well,
so
yeah.
it just capitulated after that. So it was a real
So were
disappointing
they
time.
interviewing the two managers while you were still manager and you didn't know?
No,
Or was it after the
It was
fact?
after.
Yeah.
They thought it was afterwards, and then it just didn't materialise. So in the end, they ended up giving it to two coaches, which was an under-18s coach, under-21s, no experience, and in the end, it nosedived.
It's incredible that you would have thought if they're sacking you, and it's not fair if there's another managers
No, I
took
know.
it. By the
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
you know, I'd be annoyed with the other manager if he
For
just
not
came
bringing me up.
straight in.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, for their part, they should have had somebody lined up. They should have somebody nailed on.
They thought they did have somebody nailed on, but both of them backed out. So for whatever reason, but both of them backed out really.
Wow. So after a spell with Doncaster Rovers, you joined struggling Championship Sheffield Wednesday in March 2021. Was that offer just too good to turn down?
Yeah, I remember me finishing at West Brom and then going in for a job interview at Doncaster. What a great job interview it was. It was so thorough, and it was obviously the first time I'd been interviewed for a job. What they did was they just took us up to a hotel just outside Hull and went through the interviewing process, and it was an interviewing process what was going to be done over 3 maybe a 4-day period, 6 managers down to 4. So after the first day or 2, the 6 managers were going to narrow it down to 4. Then I got interviewed by the chief exec and the secretary. And then for the final part, it was going to be the chairman and the directors. So really, really good process.
Very
First time
thorough.
I'd been in, very thorough, and went into the process really. And so I went through the chief exec and the secretary and then went into the chairman and the directors. And then I just remember them saying, okay, Darren, you've got a day in between and then we'll notify who the candidate's going to be. So I always remember me just getting in the car and going back home and driving and going back home, and I get the phone call. I got this phone call and saw this call come up 2 or 3 times, and I answered it. It was the secretary, and she said, "Oh, Darren, where are you?" I said, "I'm on my way back home." I'd got to around about Sheffield. She said, "Pull over where you are." I thought, I ain't going to pull over on the motorway. So I pulled up into Sheffield, into a hotel, Tankersley Manor, parked there and waited for about an hour, and I was thinking, first interview, I was thinking, I wonder what's happened here, because they said they're going to let the candidate know tomorrow. They arrived and said that you're the suitable candidate. We want you to take the job. So I thought, fantastic, really great. And then the next day, then I went back home, I got all my stuff, and then came back up, and then they announced it. And that was a real great feeling, real good feeling, because interview to go through it, and some good managers, no doubt, and to be manager of Doncaster Rovers was an absolute honour and a joy to be there. As I said, I knew the club, I knew the area, being a former player there, the structure of the football club. And
The stadium had changed a
the
bit,
stadium
hadn't
had changed. Yeah, from what was it, the Keepmo, and it was
The original one was the biggest
Bellevue.
pitch.
Remember
That
Bellevue?
was a massive pitch.
Huge
that.
pitch with a running track around it. So it was great to be back there and just to get stuck into getting into it really, and that was me getting into management, and Doncaster were League One at the time. And just went in there with a whole load of ideas. You're thinking at the level you've worked at, and it was really good. 2 great years there. First year, the COVID year, we was in the playoffs, but obviously the league season got abandoned for the COVID. And then the second season, we was 3rd, 4 points from the top, 3 games in hand. And then Sheffield Wednesday come in, and I just thought Sheffield Wednesday come in. They paid the compensation to the club. And the club said they've paid, they want to speak to you. Ended up speaking to Sheffield Wednesday. And at the time...
It must have been hard.
Tough.
Sheffield, I mean, I remember when you were being at Doncaster and thinking what a great job you were doing. And then Wednesday come in. The club is just huge, isn't it?
It's huge and like
But
rock bottom. the scale of the football
Yeah.
club, you're thinking, goodness me, and then you get into the football club and then you think to yourself how much different the cultures are. So you're coming with this real vibrant, uplifting culture, and then you're getting in there and players don't want to, they're in this magnificent club and not wanting to. There's obviously, you don't forget the season before, we've come out of COVID. So you're going into Sheffield Wednesday and it's just coming on the back end of COVID, really. So there's no fans in. There's the relationships lost with the team and the supporters.
Yeah.
So you're thinking to yourself, and can you imagine you're playing in an arena in Sheffield at Hillsborough, it's empty.
I know. And I used to go and watch the FA Cup.
We used to watch
semi-finals.
It always at Villa Park or at Hillsborough,
Yeah.
or at Old Trafford. So I'm thinking to myself, this is just not real in terms of. So that summer really was where the work started.
Yeah. Yeah, ultimately Wednesday are relegated, so we don't want to talk about that. Relegated to League One. But we now have to fast forward to arguably one of the greatest ever playoff semi-final ties. The two legs against Peterborough in 2023. 4-0 down after the first leg. What was going through your mind?
First things first, when you got to Peterborough, last thing that I think I was going to lose 4-0 because of the defensive record we did. And of course, all your prep and everything that you do for it. It's a semi-final. And when you actually take the club as the size and structure of Sheffield Wednesday, the bigger the game, the better the players respond.
Yeah.
So in terms of the detail, in terms of the boys, they were ready for the game. And of course, then you lose the game 4-0. And I always remember the game, the first one, the goal goes in. It happens. Goal comes from a melee of players. Cameron Dawson sees it late. It goes into the far corner. Okay. Second goal is a deflected effort. Defender goes to block the shot. How many times we've done it?
Yeah.
Deflects off it, but it goes top corner. So it's 2-0 at half time. And I look at the two goals and I think it can happen. But what's imperative, boys, we don't give any more goals away.
Yeah.
And that was my only half-time talk. I just thought, I just need to settle them down. Just
Do you
let
think
them
you played okay in the game?
We were doing... Well, I'll later go on because when we lost the game 4-0, I'll never forget it. I went back. It was meant to be a day off the next day afterwards to recharge and recover. And I ended up going back to my... I had a lovely cottage in Sheffield. And I get back there at 1:30 in the morning. Gents, I watched the video back until 6:30.
Yeah.
So 2 cups of black coffee later, a glass of water, I've watched the game back in detail. When you look back at the game, if the score would have been, it should have been 7 or 8-5 to Sheffield Wednesday, where the Stonewall penalty turned down, Stonewall, and we just missed chances. When the goal, it was 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, we just missed chances. And they had 5 chances on the night. They scored the first 4. The last one to go 5-0 was the last kick of the game, and Cam Dawson point block saves. That would have been 5. And that was the save what he made, and we give the ball away. So actually, when I look back at the game, it was one of the most bizarre games.
So were you almost enthused by watching it back rather than being depressed?
Depressed, yeah.
What was your team talk like before that game?
After the game, I just said to them, I guarantee you, lads, so we're 4-0 down, all eyes are on the floor, it's quiet, it's in disbelief. And I said, look at me, and now every single one of you and the staff, I said, look right here. And I said, you will definitely, 100%, I guarantee you're going to leave everything on the pitch at Hillsborough on Thursday night. You are definitely going to, that I'm going to guarantee you. I said, irrespective of the result, you are not going to bow out in a season like that. We've come too far. 96 points.
Yeah.
And any other season, we win the league.
96 points.
I know.
And then you go away to Peterborough and get beat 4-0.
4-0.
Incredible.
And that
Playoffs,
season,
Mick.
I know, playoffs.
that season again, and it's just the playoffs. It's just one of those. And we was the only team playing on that night and the playoffs, and we lose a game 4-0.
What was the replay like, Dal? Quickly,
And then
tell us.
the replay was just fantastic. We had a game plan. I knew the game plan that we needed to do. We had
Score 5.
33, Mick told me,
Quickly.
33,500 in at Hillsborough.
Oh,
I mean, you just
yeah,
33, and then the idea was we just had a game plan. We had to score a goal. We had every 23, 24, 25 minutes to score a goal. Divide the game up into 4 quarters. We decided to go from back to front quickly, and then we put big Callum Patterson.
Oh, yeah.
Almost like a right winger, if you like, and just kept hitting him. And then Lee Gregory, Michael Smith get it into them, and then we'll feed off them. And then you got the genius of Barry Bannon and Josh Windass creating and just locked it in with the two wing backs and just really almost kind of went forward with the front six really and just put it on them. And of course we scored after 9 minutes, after 25 minutes. The noise at half time at Hillsborough, the noise coming down the tunnel, like, you know, so that was it really. So we knew then we had momentum then because we had to find 2 goals. The third goal come midway through it, and then the last one was the last kick of the game. And then we'd practice pens all week. So when we got to penalties, I just looked at them and said, we're ready for it. Just go and do what you do. And they executed all the pens. And you know what? The proudest moment of the night for me, everybody talks about everything what happened. Lee Gregory gives an own goal away, free kick, goes in. So we've scored 4 goals. They go 5-4 ahead. The lads look at the clock and say, we still got 16, 17 minutes or so to score a goal. Not a problem. So I'm stood there in the technical area and I'm hearing the players say this on the pitch. Because in that situation, when everybody's losing their heads, they got theirs and they were so calm.
Switched on.
And just switched on. And then 3 or 4 minutes later, Callum Patterson scores a goal with 5-5.
Penalties.
The boys were out on their feet and then we get the pens. And then there was 3 parts of it. I said to make the impossible possible, then to win the game. And then we had the 3rd part was Wembley. So that's why after the game I was able to settle them down and thinking we can't let everything go here because we've still got Wembley here, really. And that was it really to get that one done.
A most
amazing result.
Amazing. I remember it happening at the time. I remember going into the game thinking, well, good luck. But
the emotions.
So.
Even then, you're talking like 1:30 till 6:30 in the morning. But and then I brought the lads in at 10 o'clock. So it was meant to be a day off, and the reason why I brought them in because I didn't want social media controlling them. So I need to get hold of them. So what I did was I got hold of them, brought them in, and then showed them the 67 goals we'd scored at Hillsborough. I just showed them the goals from all 23 games, all at home, none of them away, and just showed all the goals.
It's interesting you say that because I was never subjected to social media as such. Were you? Not the scrutiny now that's coming. No. You know, I've been finished 5 years. I know it was in before that, but it's just got even greater now where everybody's on the social media.
Yeah, it's a huge influence. And even though we're not on it, I'm not on it. No. I'm not on it. I've got no interest in social media. But you got to appreciate that the players are.
Yeah,
of that era.
They are.
The Managers with Mick and Tony is powered by BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. And why is BOYLE Sports the home of the early payout? I hear you ask. Well, with BOYLE Sports, if the team you back goes 2 goals up, you win, job done, you're getting paid out. Singles, ACCAs, bet builders, it's all covered. And this means we need to reconsider a crucial game in your career, Tony. I'm talking, of course, about the 1999 playoff final when your Gillingham team were 2 goals up with 5 minutes to play. Obviously, that means, in the eyes of BOYLE Sports, you have now won the Second Division playoff final, 1999. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And also, West Ham won the 2006 FA Cup final, which is great. And commiserations to Liverpool for not winning the 2005 Champions League. And obviously, now Gillingham have won the 1999 Second Division playoff final. Commiserations to Nicky Weaver and Manchester City. Yes, get paid out as a winner if your team goes 2 goals ahead, even if they win, lose or draw. 90 minutes only, applies to singles and multiples. 18 plus, T's and C's apply. Back yourself with BOYLE Sports, the home of the early payout. Head to boylesports.com or download the app to find out more.
So another legendary moment is created at Wembley. Josh Windass scored in the last minute of extra time to beat Barnsley. I was thrilled with that, let me tell you. No, I wasn't. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday beating Barnsley at any stage, but in the playoff final. But anyway, we're talking about you. So you beat Barnsley 1-0 and earned promotion to the Championship. Fabulous, you know, to win that playoffs the way you did as well. Where does that rank in the promotions you've achieved in your career?
Well, I've had promotions winning automatic, but if you could guarantee to go to Wembley and win, it's the best feeling. If you can guarantee, and I've done it both ways, as a player, as a manager. I've won it as a automatic as a player, through promotion as a player, automatic as a manager, and through the playoffs. And I'll definitely say without, if you can guarantee it's playoffs without a doubt, and that ranks up there with it to get hold of Tony. Will tell you,
it is amazing, isn't it? Because if you've won the league, I've lost playoffs all over the place, but when we'd won the league with Wolves, we're away on holiday, and I'm watching the playoff final. And when the one who's won it, I'm buzzing for him. It's like, I'm thinking, I always thought, listen, I was glad I was on holiday and we'd won it.
Yeah.
But seeing the emotion of everybody when you win it through the playoffs does look like the best day ever.
I suppose it's the arena, Wembley.
Yeah.
It's just, and all the kudos that goes about it, and the preparation to it, the build-up to it, everything else that the news on it, and of course, a club the size of Sheffield Wednesday. And not only that, but the season before, we'd missed out by a last-minute goal to Sunderland.
Yeah.
So the season before, we played Sunderland in the league. I mean, it was what a game over 2 legs, and we lost. And I remember that season, me going home for 4 or 5 days, and I just remember I've got to go back because I just couldn't let it go how we'd lost. And then I remember tweaking it in that summer. 5 or 6 players arrived, and that was the second season, 96 points.
What he said there, mind, is another factor that people don't realise. When the season finishes, you're doing and preparing next season. Yeah. And people don't realise you can be on holiday with your family, you can be doing this, that and the other, Mick. But in that year, although you're nodding your head to your family, in that year you're just thinking, I need these players, and if I don't get them in,
absolutely,
then we're not going to be successful.
We're not going to be,
And it's like non-stop making it.
Oh, non-stop at all.
And you want to get them in for pre-season.
Yeah.
You don't want to get them in, so you've got to do it. So when people leave and go for the summer, or your staff's gone, you're there potentially recruitment, looking to get 1 or 2 in to get them in for pre-season, because you want to hit the ground running and kick on from there. You want the strongest team possible. So, you're spot on.
And it leaves you a little bit short as well when you get to the playoffs. Certainly, the time between that it gets shorter, because it's about 3 or 4 weeks after you've done. Like if you finish in beginning of May, then you can be rearranging what you're going to do in recruitment and everything.
The one thing it
does put you back 4 weeks.
The one
100%.
thing I actually recognised as well is because we were at clubs, Mick, that weren't at that level, but we were looking for players to improve us all the time. We were at the top table, but we actually weren't eating at the top table. We had to wait for the scraps to drop off the top table for us then to pick them up. So really and truthfully, you saying I always wanted them there for pre-season, but a lot of the times you're getting them at the back end of pre-season because they're looking at everyone else before they come to you.
I'm going to have to pay a compliment to some of the scraps that we picked up, by the way, because just in case anyone listening,
they weren't all scraps.
We did pick some good scraps up as well, I have to say. But it does put you back in terms of recruitment. Are we going to be in the next league? Are we going to still be in this league? And it does. That provides a challenge for you as well. And then as soon as you've won the playoff, you must be like that. Oh, we're 4 weeks behind. Let's get after it.
And that's the thing. Again, because you're 4 weeks behind, most of them have gone on, but I suppose at the time you're trying to speak to agents and advisors before, but you can't because you don't, depending on what league you're going to be in. I thought the promotion at the time at Sheffield Wednesday at the time, we had players there that had championship experience.
Yeah.
So there was a nucleus of a squad there that had championship experience. What we had to just do then was, because of the size and structure of the club, could we tempt 1 or 2 of the Premier League top young talented boys to come and play for the football club, and in the area where Sheffield is quite central to everywhere, you could get some really top clubs what's around it. So you forge links with a lot of the big Premier League teams.
It's Sheffield Wednesday.
And it's Sheffield Wednesday,
stadium,
of course.
Everything that was about it.
And the history of the football club. So that was there really. So there was a nucleus of a team that was already there, that getting into the championship. And then don't forget as well, Tony, you're going into your 2nd or 3rd pre-season. So the squads really, they understand how you're working, your methodology and everything else. So you're just looking at things like that really.
That summer, your time at Sheffield Wednesday comes to an end. How disappointing was it not to get the chance to lead them in the Championship? You must have been devastated.
Yeah, really, really sad, disappointed, devastated, really, because
Tell us what happened, because I heard loads of things that supposedly happened.
it got to the end of the season, contract up, but thinking great, brilliant, because we wanted Sheffield Wednesday back in the Championship, huge club, and I'd already recruited 4 players to come in. Won't name the players because they're all obviously at clubs now. Spoke to them, everything else to come back in, and then when the players came into the football club, just wasn't allowed to sign.
What, you brought them up to sign them?
To sign them, yeah. And
they weren't allowed to sign?
Yeah, and just the one player had delayed going on holiday by 3 days. 3 days.
But he was pleased with you, wasn't he?
Honestly, and I was so, I felt for him. I felt embarrassed at the time because what was supposedly to be a magical moment back in, and again, these are top players, and you spoke about them waiting, Sheffield Wednesday, so they've waited now because it's a big club to come and play, and the top players, and one of the boys now is playing Premier League now, so I had him at the time. Wow. So he's in the Premier League now. So just what happened was that I was told couldn't bring them in, wasn't allowed to bring them in, and the recruitment side of it was taken away from me to just doing it. So
there was a suggestion, read it, heard it, that it was because you asked for a rise.
Yeah.
So, and if you did, you deserve one. You just, in fact, that should have been. If it's in contractual, that norm, if you get promoted, then you automatically get a raise.
But to what the rise was meant to, what it is, was nowhere near it, Mick. And I'm just honest. I've got to be honest with you, and just it was nowhere near the rise what supposed it asked for. Not at all, and it was a shame. Because that wasn't the case at all. Because I just wanted to manage Sheffield Wednesday back in the Championship.
Well, it's been to their detriment, actually, hasn't it?
Because, I'm just sad to see what happened afterwards over the next couple of years. I think Danny took over, done really well, but just
Danny Rowland,
Danny took over.
Did well.
So he took over. Sort of Cisco. Took over from me, and then it started dropping like a stone, and then Danny took over, saved them from relegation.
What did you gain or learn, Dal, from that experience at Sheffield Wednesday?
The biggest thing what I learned was 2 things. Was with all my promotions as a player, could I transform what I knew as a player, getting promoted, and give it to a group of players that don't, and the squad. And so number one, I was really elated. Blimey, and in terms of how our promotion season looks like and feels like, you've transferred it now, so it's almost like you prove something to yourself. Yeah. So that was number one. Number 2 was the disbelief how football can change in a split second. that reverberated for me to think, wow, how it can just switch in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, having got promoted, it's not like you're in a relegation battle. You're being promoted. That must have been it must have been a shock for you.
Yeah, there's always a shock. There's always a grief, and then there's always an acceptance. And I think that was the time. It was a complete shock at the time. And I just felt for the players. As you can imagine, culturally, we've built a wonderful platform with the players. So to receive all their phone calls, and I had to take all their phone calls because, they're on holiday and they're seeing this news seep through, really. So that was a
difficult.
That was tough. Everything else I could let slide by, but when they rang me, I felt I had to answer the phone call.
You do form an incredible bond with the players, don't you? When you've signed them, especially if you sign them, and then you get promoted, you've done them a favour as such. They've done you a favour. It's a symbiotic deal. They're playing for you. You're managing them.
Well, ultimately, we spend the most time with them, innit? When you spend a lot of time.
What was Ange like?
Devastated, just like everybody else. He's like,
were they up in Sheffield with you then, or
no?
They were still back in Birmingham.
Back in Birmingham. So the whole family was back in Birmingham because obviously we live our jobs in the social media. So when a lot of things, even though we're okay, we get on with it. We always think the after effect what we have on our families and everything else, because we understand that it's part and parcel of the DNA of the game. So it's what you always wonder what happens then, but the family were ever supportive as ever.
I'm sure you don't wish it on them, because I've never done it. Any club I've been to, I've ended up supporting them and wanted them to do well. But you must be amazed by what's happened since you've left.
The bit what I feel the most is knowing the staff that's within that structure, the football club. The staff in there, when I think of some of the names and people that are still currently working there and I'm still in touch with now, that's where my heart goes to, because those are the unsung heroes that people don't get to see, that when it's happening on a Tuesday night or Saturday afternoon for us, people don't see the work that they've been supporting you on in getting the team to where it needs to get to.
Morning Tone, morning everybody. My predictions for this week. I've got Stockport to beat Stevenage. They won away at Stevenage. Can't see it letting it go now, looking to get promoted. So Stockport to beat them. At home, Southampton against Borough, again in the playoffs. Southampton got a draw up there. They haven't lost since 17th of January. I just can't see them letting it go now, having such a good run. So Southampton to beat Middlesbrough. Man United to beat Forest. Man United have done so well towards last season, got into the Champions League. They won't want to let it go now. Forest, they've survived, they've stayed up, done really, really well. Just wondered if they took the foot off the pedal. Anyway, if they have Manchester United at home to beat Nottingham Forest. Last but by no means least, Celtic to beat Motherwell. Away from home, but Celtic now got a real chance of winning the title. Fancy them to go to Motherwell and win that one. So Celtic to beat Motherwell, mine. Stockport to beat Stevenage, Southampton to beat Middlesbrough, Manchester United to beat Forest, and Celtic to beat Motherwell. £10 returns, £111 and 47p, including the ACCA boost from BOYLE Sports. Good luck, everybody.
Morning, everybody. My turn to pick or try and pick 4 winners for this week. I'm starting with Arsenal to beat Burnley. Obviously everybody knows now that it's coming to the end and every point counts, and I think Arsenal will be absolutely desperate to get over the line. They look favourites at the moment and I just can't see any other result apart from Arsenal beating Burnley. Then I'm going right up to the northeast where Newcastle, who have had not the best of times. I think they've played well, but they've just not been able to get over the line in games. I think they've lost the most points from winning positions than anybody in the league this year, which is really, really unusual for Eddie. But that's what happens at football. When you're in football long enough, everything spins around and you experience most things. So I go Newcastle to beat West Ham United. I think West Ham are fighting for their lives. It'll be a really, really tough game. But I'm just going for Newcastle. I think it's their last home game to squeak a result. Whether that puts West Ham down or not, only time will tell. And then I go north of the border. And Hearts, who've had an unbelievable season, a fantastic season. They're getting close. It looks now as though it's just Hearts and Celtic. I'm going Hearts to beat Falkirk at home. I just don't see any other result. I just think that they'll be so motivated for it. The crowd will be behind them. And I think they'll just have too much. And then the last game, again, is up north. It's Dundee United against Livingston. Livingston have had a real poor run of it this season. Dundee have done okay. And again, last game at home for Dundee United. I just think they're going to squeak it as well. So £10 returns, £46, 26p, including the ACCA boost from BOYLE Sports.
After a spell at Huddersfield Town now, you took over at Port Vale and led them to promotion from League 2 in 2024.
Boo! I don't mean it, though.
Yes, he does. Now we all know Port Vale are Robbie Williams Football Club. So did you get any congratulatory messages from him?
Yeah.
Did you go and see any tickets for his gigs?
Yeah, spoke to Robbie when I joined the football club.
He always seems a great fella.
Great guy. And even when we led to promotion, another message again from him.
Brilliant.
And even then, upon me leaving the football club, another message from him.
So he's involved. He's not just Robbie Williams as Port Vale and you never hear from him. You're actually
passionate for the football club.
Fantastic.
Real passionate for
That's
the football
great.
club. And I'm telling you, on different occasions, when I joined the club, promotion, and when I left the club, same temperature.
Do you know what I'm
from
saying?
him.
You hear some people
Really good.
There's an association with
Yeah,
him, but
really
actually
good.
you hear from him once. But he was
he's all
involved
for
in
the
it.
club. Yeah, he's
Brilliant.
all for the football club. It's a fantastic club. Good owners, good people. Really pleased to take the job and then get a promotion with them was fantastic to help that club back into League One, and real wish the club nothing but success going forward. Obviously, we jumped up. We had a 2-year program to do it. We'd done it in the first year. So I was really pleased with that one, and I sincerely wish them all the best going forward.
Tough area, Dell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tough area.
It is, yeah.
Did
It is a
you
real
see
tough
it
one.
as such a struggle having been promoted though?
Yeah, what we did was we did it in the first year. So we did it in the first year, and
Expectations.
yeah, and then of course when you jump up, you signed a lot of the boys on 2-year deals, so they still got another year to run and be up into League One. Great League One, but the caliber of teams up there. I mean, you're talking teams that have Luton Town been in the Premier League 2 seasons, Cardiff, Huddersfield, Plymouth, Bradford. You know, some Bolton Wanderers, some huge teams. You're talking there's 9 or 10 teams that have been in the Premier League.
Premier League, yeah.
Blackpool, Premier League. Barnsley, Premier League. You know, so you're talking from going from one level, jumping to another one. League One is a league that I think keeps you honest. You have to be honest week in, week out, because just the caliber of teams in there, really. So
I know what you're saying, but every league keeps you honest, doesn't it? Really?
keeps you honest, really, like, you know. So that's the thing, really, with it, Mick. So yeah, I've got no regrets with it, and happy to have my second promotion as a manager, and really, really pleased.
Brilliant. So you've been out of the game since leaving Port Vale earlier in the season. Are you ready to get back in?
Yes.
Or are you taking an extended break from the dugout?
Yeah, no, I decided to take January and February completely off from football, just to recharge mentally, physically. As you know, gents used to know inside out, and the job takes energy. You need your energy.
Well, Tony's, you mentioned it first when we were doing it, but we were talking about Ange, I think.
Yeah.
And
taking the job too quickly.
Taking the job too, and how you look when you've struggled. And everybody should know how much it affects you.
Oh, it does, yeah.
You know, you're at Port Vale, you've gotten promoted, you're so proud of that club and those players, and the following year you can't do it.
Yeah.
It's devastating.
I mean, I took the job, but even when I went to, afterwards, I went into Huddersfield 3 months afterwards, and I didn't realise after going into Huddersfield how much Sheffield Wednesday had taken out of me after 2.5 years.
Yeah.
That's 2.5 years, a club of that size, you drive them to get in the Championship. And then when you do leave and you take the Huddersfield, you're battling, but you realise it's only when you go in, you realise just what the energy levels that you need to get that going, really, in terms of going forward, because it does take it out of you.
See,
And
I know that people listening, fans, when they see that or hear that, think it's a bit of an excuse.
Yeah, no.
We suffer as much as not more than them, fans, because fans of a club, but we suffer equally as much. And we're suffering with all sorts of different things. You are doing, if a signing doesn't work, you concede a late goal, you've lost 3 on the bounce, the chairman's giving you earache, the fans are giving you earache. Just let everybody know.
A culmination of everything.
But we don't enjoy that. You've got to tolerate it. You've got to listen to it. But you've got to come over it. You've got to find a way
the
through
biggest
it.
thing for
You're
me
going to have
is
skin like leather, aren't you?
well, the biggest thing for me is the internal problems you've got within your squad, and you're protecting your players from it. So that's the biggest thing I find, because you create this culture, is that if players are dealing with certain problematic situations, you're trying to help them through that situation and be supportive to them. And sometimes in supporting them, you can't be as open as you want to be, because in protecting them. And I think that's always the difficulty, really. And because you want them, you're protecting them because you need them to perform.
Absolutely.
Not underneath that pressure.
I was thinking about you at Port Vale, having done it 12 months sooner than you should have done.
Yeah.
You're ahead of your time.
Ahead of the time,
and then you go up with players who are not really capable of doing it.
Expectations.
Yeah.
Expectations.
Your
again.
fault.
And it was tough, because when we did go up, it's hard because just 2 days before the window, I lose my striker to Plymouth, my leading striker. And if you look at him today, he scored 19 goals for Plymouth. And I lost him 2 days before the window.
Why didn't you go on pre-season and take him somewhere up the mountains, Dal, where nobody could
see him? Yeah, and he scored, and he's ended up going there. So, so that accumulates as well because you've come up, your leading goal scorer ends up going, and you know he's got 20 goals in him, really. And that was a real detriment. So in terms of creating what we did create, didn't have anybody at the top end that could convert.
Well,
so.
I sincerely hope that you've had the rest that's required. I mean, the season's coming to an end, so we'll be looking at next season. I sincerely hope to see you back in, Darren. You've been a great guest. Thanks for coming on.
As always,
yeah,
absolutely honest, straight down the line.
Yeah.
No airs and graces, Dal.
That's it.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Dal.
Thank you.